This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca. Read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says Sri Lanka is mourning the death of Indian singing legend Lata Mangeshkar. Police says Sri Lanka has recorded one of the highest drowning rates in the world. The Sri Lanka Podujana Party decides to hold a series of awareness meetings throughout the country. The media minister says the prevailing system of education and also the social atmosphere provides avenues for separatism. The French couple fallen from the moving train thanked the police and the commuters for their quick actions. In the main news story, the government take measures to facilitate the development of the domestic automobile and vehicle assembling industry. Foreign news, Lata Mangeshkar, the soundtrack to more than 1,000 Bollywood films, has died aged 92. Local news in detail. Sri Lanka is mourning the death of Indian singing legend Lata Mangeshkar. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa tweeted saying, "Rest in peace, Nightingale of India, late Lata Mangeshkar." Prime Minister also thanked the singing legend for the decades of entertainment that transcended borders and gave her life to the phrase, "Music is a universal language." The Prime Minister also expressed his deepest condolences to her family and people of India and said that her memory would live through her music. 3 people were killed last afternoon after drowning while bathing at the Ellevala waterfall in Vallavaya. Police said a group of 6 people had gone for a bath while on holidaying in the area. Issuing a special statement over the issue, police media spokesman SSP Nihal Talduva said, Sri Lanka has recorded one of the highest drowning rates in the world, with more than 3 deaths a day. He says over 800 to 1,000 people died annually in Sri Lanka due to drowning. It is the second leading cause of accidental death in Sri Lanka, police said. According to the police, drowning cases are mostly happening during weekends and long weekends, mainly due to recreational activities in unknown water sources. The WHO reported adults aged 25 to 44 years were at greatest risk, and males were 4 times more likely to drown than females. The police said alcohol consumption, poor supervision practices, and unprotected wells and open reservoirs were identified as contributing factors. The police media spokesman says, designate a responsible adult to supervise closely and constantly when children are in or near water in a must. He also stressed the adults watching kids in or near water should avoid distracting activities like using the phone and consuming alcohol or drugs. The Sri Lanka Podujana Party has decided to hold a series of awareness meetings throughout the country. The meetings will be held to educate the public on the government's political and development programs. A spokesman from the party said the first of the series will be held next Wednesday evening at the Salgado Stadium in Anuradhapura. The meeting will be addressed by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa, and several other ministers. A spokesman also said that the series of meetings will be held to educate the public on the steps taken by the government to overcome the COVID-19 epidemic. Vadalaksya program and further political and election activities is to be conducted by the government. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi 60 from Sri Lanka Insurance.
Continuing with more local news, Media Minister Dalasalha Peruma says defending the country is the fullest responsibility of all Sri Lankan citizens. The country was defended by the war heroes with the utmost dedication from the decade-old conflict. The minister made these remarks at a meeting held at Veligama Pradesh Sabha Auditorium. The meeting was held to greet and evaluate the war heroes. The minister also said the prevailing system of education and also the social atmosphere has provided avenues for separatism. He said the public is now enjoying the right of freedom which was achieved as the correct decisions made by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the current government. The French girl who had fallen off the moving train near Ohio on the main line and received serious injuries had recovered and returned back from the hospital. Abutali police had taken immediate measures to admit the injured tourists to the Diathalava base hospital. Investigations revealed that they were travelling from Colombo in the Badulla-bound express when the young woman had fallen off the train while attempting to take a selfie. They were travelling on the footboard and fallen off, and the young man, her partner, had jumped off the train to save her. The couple said they are scheduled to visit down south tomorrow. Issuing a special acknowledgement for the police and commuters in the train, the fiancé said passengers who were keen to hand over all their belongings have left the train. He also thanked the army officers at the Diathalava camp for service they have rendered throughout the day they were in hospital. One of the two dead bodies discovered on the Vallavatta beach yesterday has been identified as that of the missing Maldivian national. The police recovered two unidentified male dead bodies on the beach at the Vallavatta in Colombo on Saturday. The Maldivian media reported 22-year-old Azam Nazir was reported missing. A member of his family stated that the authorities have confirmed his body was found near a railway track in Dehiwala beach area. The SLBC has taken measures to organize 100 blood donating camps identified as a CSR project. SLBC invites campaign organizers to join hands with SLBC to carry out the initiative. At SLBC program, the director of the National Blood Transfusion Service, Dr. Lakshman Edhir Singh, expressed its fullest support to launch the project successfully. That ends local news.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi 60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. A health insurance plan to honor our most valued elders by the protectors of the nation. We now give our treasured senior citizens access to the very best medical insurance, specially tailored for anyone over 60. What's more, you don't need medical screening to access this policy. And Medi 60 covers a wide range of illnesses. Only from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Industrial Development Board plans to facilitate the development of the domestic automobile and vehicle assembling industry. IDB Deputy Director General Development and Director of Engineering, WAP Kapila Nishant, says IDB will enable entrepreneurs to reach the next phase of industrial growth. He added the IDB will help the automobile industry with sharing of expertise and technology to boost the standard of the industry vital to enhance efficiency and minimize environmental pollution. The IDB will also facilitate provision of land, factories and issuing of standard certificates for the industry. The board launched the domestically manufactured 200cc electrically driven motorcycles at the Industry 2022 exhibition at BMICH. The exhibition ends today. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, Professor Priyadarshini Galapati says people should not take any medicine prescribed by social media for COVID-19. They can take vitamin D and zinc if they really need to take something. She told media that the people who suffer from COVID-19 should not take any antibiotics without consulting a doctor, and they should not take steroids at all. Antibiotics are useless to fight a virus and it may cause allergies, she added. Taking steroids at an early stage may weaken immunity. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, headlines first. Lata Mangeshkar, the soundtrack to more than 1,000 Bollywood films, has died aged 92. The anti-vaccine trucker protest in Canada's capital is in its second weekend and the protests are growing across the country. The Arctic is warming faster than anywhere else on the planet, new report reveals. World news in detail. Lata Mangeshkar, one of India's most beloved singers, the soundtrack to more than 1,000 Bollywood films, has died aged 92. She had been admitted to a hospital in Mumbai city in January after testing positive for COVID-19. The doctor who treated her said she died of a multi-organ failure. Mangeshkar had an extraordinary career spanning over half a century, singing more than 30,000 songs across 36 languages. The Indian government has announced 2 days of mourning from Sunday, during which the national flag would be flown at half-mast throughout the country. She will be given a state funeral. Her cremation would take place in Mumbai on Sunday evening. The anti-vaccine trucker protest in Canada's capital is in its second weekend as protests were growing across the country. It started with a convoy of the hundreds of big rigs from across Canada and thousands of people converging on Ottawa and calling for the federal government to resign or be forced out of office. For 9 days, protesters have shut down Ottawa's downtown core. Police say the well-organized blockade has relied partly on funding from sympathizers in the United States. On Saturday, demonstrators huddled around campfires in the bone-chilling temperatures and erected portable saunas and bouncy castles for kids outside the parliament while waving Canadian flags and shouting anti-government slogans. The Arctic is warming faster than anywhere else on the planet, and the toll on the Greenland's massive ice sheet is becoming achingly clear. According to new satellite data compiled by the Polar Portal, Greenland has lost more than 5,100 billion tons of ice in the past 20 years. The group said it is roughly enough to flood the entire United States in 1.6 feet of water. This extensive ice loss has contributed to half an inch of global sea level rise in just 2 decades. The researchers wrote on their website. The team's data covers the 20 years from 2002 to 2021 and is based on observations taken by the Gravity Recovery and Climate Experimental Fleet of Satellites, which launched in March 2002. According to NASA, Greenland's ice melt is one of the main factors driving sea level rise in response to climate change. Greenland is currently on track to contribute 3 to 5 inches to global sea level rise by the year 2100, the study added. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Lata Mangeshkar, the soundtrack to more than 1,000 Bollywood films, has died aged 92. The anti-vaccine trucker protest in Canada's capital is in its second weekend and protests are growing across the country. The Arctic is warming faster than anywhere else on the planet now, report reveals. That ends World News.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
The Dipped Products PSC has distributed 30,000 rubber samplings in its sustained drive to support future yield and income of the Monoragala Farmer Network. The Dipped Products PSC said the rubber trees will begin to yield latex after 5 years of vegetated development and will generate a steady source of income to farmers for the next 20 or 30 years. At present, smallholders rubber farmers produce approximately 65% of the Sri Lanka's annual rubber crop, making the sustainable livelihood of rubber smallholder farmers a mission of national significance. That ends Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Lakshita Madhushan became the king of the wave among the men, and Nikita Robb obtained the Queen of the Wave title at the Red Bull Ride by Wave Surfing Contest. The contest was held at the Hikkaduwa main surf point recently. Madhushan obtained a score of 13.8 points, while Nikita Robb won it for the third consecutive year by collecting a whopping 11.5 points to make history. 6 surfers participated in the semi-finals and 4 competed for the title of the King of the Wave in the final. Sachin Tharaka, scoring 12.4 points, became first runner-up, while Steve Shelley, with 10.6 points, was the second runner-up in the men's category. Cameroon Heenman became first runner-up with 5.6 points, while Kroot Lezen, scoring 4.9 points, was the second runner-up in the women's category. This was the 6th edition of the Red Bull Ride by Wave event and was contested by surfers from over 25 countries, including Austria, Australia, Belgium, Germany, Estonia, France, the UK, Israel, the Netherlands, Russia, Sweden, USA, and South Africa. That ends Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022, remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The delegation of Germany Industry and Commerce in Sri Lanka ready to intensified support for Sri Lankan agricultural products exports to Germany. They assure they will provide continuous matchmaking opportunities to boost trade. They added that they will organize a Sri Lankan pavilion at the world's #1 exhibition for fresh fruits, vegetables and spices, fruit logistics exhibition from April 5th to 7th in Berlin. The delegation officials made these remarks at a webinar on EU market requirements and opportunities for fresh fruits and vegetables organized by the AHK Sri Lanka with its import promotion desk recently. That ends Business News.
This was news, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Special preliminary facilitation centers will be installed island-wide for the betterment of the entrepreneurs who are lack of financial bases and other infrastructure facilities. The initiative will be launched as a special program conducted by the National Entrepreneurs Authority. The Director General of the authority, Sunil Jayaratna, told SLBC the program would be launched island-wide on cluster basis. He added it will facilitate the authority to identify the critical issues faced by the entrepreneurs frequently. That ends economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Moving on to weather report, the Meteorological Department stated a slight change in the prevailing dry weather is expected after this evening. It added several spells of showers will occur in eastern, Ubud and north central provinces and in Hambantota and Matale districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the western and Sabaragama provinces and Nuvareli district, Gaul and Matara districts during the evening or night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 mm can be expected at some places in Sabaragama province and in Nuvareli, Gaul and Matara districts. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragama, central, north central and northwestern provinces and in Gaul and Matara districts during the morning. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says Sri Lanka is mourning the death of Indian singing legend Lata Mangeshkar. Police say Sri Lanka has recorded one of the highest drowning rates in the world. The Sri Lanka Podujana Party decides to hold a series of awareness meetings throughout the country. The media minister says the prevailing system of education and also the social atmosphere provides avenues for separatism. The French couple fallen from the moving train thanked the police and the commuters for their quick actions. In main news story, the government take measures to facilitate the development of the domestic automobile and vehicle assembling industry. Foreign news, Lata Mangeshkar, the soundtrack to more than 1,000 Bollywood films, has died aged 92. With that, we conclude the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka.